So I'm working on a forgiveness painting. This is my first time doing it as a painting. I've done a bunch of forgiveness drawings, but this is something bigger I need to forgive. So basically, last week I quit a job, and then my employer decided to basically cheat me out of almost $700 by changing my job description, and now they are, choosing to not pay the employer part of the taxes. Now, I'm not making this painting for revenge, and I'm not going to tell you the name of my employer or anything like that, because that's not what this is about. This is about me healing and kind of growing from that and letting go of my anger, my justifiable resentment. So basically, I wrote about it in this white paint right here, and I just worked directly from the tube. And now I'm slowly going to fill in the negative spaces. So it'll further obscure the words that I wrote. And as I work through this, I'm kind of actively trying to forgive. When I wrote out what it is I'm forgiving, I used big loopy letters and I overlapped them. I'll do a little bit more of that in a little bit. But yeah, I'm hurting right now. Some of this is my own fault because I trusted them and I was maybe naive. I was teaching a class of 3-year-olds, and I was there a little bit less than a month. I had taught at this school 10 years ago, and I know the school teaches like values and morals and stuff, so I thought that they would be moral, and I was wrong. I hadn't signed my contract because I didn't know if I was going to stay or not. I ended up leaving because it just burnt me out. And, my health was suffering from it. So I left there, and, I was even going to go back and volunteer, but I'm not going to do that anymore. But I don't want to be carrying around this resentment. After I quit, they said, "Oh, you haven't worked here long enough to be considered a teacher. We're going to pay you what we pay our substitute teachers, which is $50 a day, which is less than minimum wage, for an 8-hour day." And then, they did eventually decide to, pay me minimum wage, but that was a lot less than what we had agreed upon. And they said, "Okay, and you don't get paid for the spring break." I could understand that, but I don't know, it just seems kind of dishonest. And then now they are, trying to make me an independent contractor so they can get out of paying the taxes as well. But, again, it's my fault for being naive, and I should have waited until I got my first paycheck, and I shouldn't have trusted. But anyway, I am glad to be out of there, and I think this confirms that I made the right decision. But I'm very sad because, I had history with this school, and, I really liked the school, and I wish I could have stayed, but it just was not a good fit. So I'm hurting right now. But again, I'm not looking to get even. I'm not looking to like give them a bad name. But, you know, I'm still kind of in shock that they would do something like this. And, you know, it's a private school and they don't have a lot of money, but, you know, I expected more out of them. So, yeah. I think an important step in forgiving is, you know, counting the cost, you know, and you know, just really looking at what you're angry about. I think that's an important first step. And only then can you actually forgive it. I think when I was growing up, I was maybe encouraged to forgive before I was really ready to, and, you know, I ended up stuffing a lot of the hurts that I was feeling, you know, but it doesn't go away. You know, and I think this has been good for me, sharing this story and sharing my hurt, you know, because it's getting it outside of me, it's externalizing it. Yeah. And I was shocked to, you know, I did some research and I did find out that schools are allowed to pay less than minimum wage and are not subject to overtime laws either. You know, and I didn't sign my contract, and they didn't give me a copy of it to keep. I tried to sign it one time, and I got interrupted because, you know, when you have a 3-year-old class, you get a lot of interruptions, and I wasn't consistently getting all my breaks. You know, in prep time, and I thought I had signed it, but I hadn't finished, and I never had gotten a copy of the teacher handbook either, and, you know, I can't sign something saying I'm going to uphold it if I don't have it, you know. Yeah, so anyway, I don't want to let my justifiable resentment keep me from rejoicing about not working there anymore. And yeah, I want to get past this, you know, because it's not worth all the heartache and anger and frustration that I want to give this, you know, but it's not worth that, and I want my peace back. So feel free to write in the comments about things you've had to forgive or want to forgive. I think forgiveness requires supernatural assistance. You know, you are surrendering your right to get even. You know, and you're not saying that it didn't happen. You're not saying it was okay that it happened. But you are surrendering your right to get even. You are freeing yourself from being in bondage to it. You know, and justifiable resentment can be a ticking time bomb. You know, and I think a lot of problems in the world are at the root of that. You know, or justifiable resentment is at the root of a lot of the world's problems and issues. Okay. And I'm running out of the white, so now I'm going to use some yellow. So I'm going to demonstrate more of like the writing process. Okay. So let's see. I expected more from you. Notice how I'm overlapping. I think we also need to forgive ourselves too. So I forgive myself for naively trusting you. Now, do you notice how up here, you can't really make out the words anymore? And, part of the reason why I started this off camera was, to protect the guilty. But, because again, this isn't about revenge. This is kind of the opposite of that, and I'm not trying to shame them through this. But it is to kind of work through my own stuff. Okay. I'm thinking about what else I should write. You exploited and cheated me. I am trying to forgive. Yeah, so just all the little negative spaces. That's art speak for like the empty areas in between. So I want to kind of focus on those spaces and take focus away from the words, because eventually those words will become obscured and they'll still be there. And hopefully, the pain of this and the resentment will also fade and, not become the focus anymore. So that's kind of why I created this sort of process. It's just kind of an active way for me to go about the business of forgiving. And I may need to do another one later, and just as, even after you forgive somebody for something, you might still have those feelings bubble up again. And I just need to learn to not stuff it and deal with it. So this is one way you can do it. And